good. I'm good. Excited about talking to you today.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, I will go ahead and get started. Well, I'll just give you a little bit about me. My name's Bianca, again, and I run a website called Tekoa Gospel Music News. I live in Augusta, Georgia, and I have the McClurkin Project, so I'm not one of those people who doesn't listen to the music. Yeah. So I have a few questions for you today. Okay, so for the readers and listeners who don't know who you are, can you please tell us how you got started in the music industry, and then just a little bit about your family? I know whose sister you are, but we're not going to dwell on that today, but go ahead.
Okay, awesome. Well, I am Andrea McClurkin Mellini, and being that my brother is Pastor Donnie McClurkin, we, as children, were brought up with music. My mother, she had a girls group that she formed in her church.
Oh, wow.
And she taught us how to harmonize, and, she taught us songs of the church, so that's where it started. And Donnie taught himself how to play piano, and my mother bought us a piano, so Donnie would sit and make up songs, and, we would sing and make silly songs, and, he made a good night song that we would sing every night, and we would give our little, quote-unquote talent shows in the front room, and, so that's where it started. And then as we got older, ministry was, ingrained in us. And for many years, Donnie was the only one who knew the Lord in our family.
Okay.
We kind of came in one at a time, and after we all gave our hearts to the Lord, we joined his group, and we would sing in the local churches. And so we got started at a young age, and, God kind of ordered our steps, and here we are today.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Your mom taught you guys how to do that.
Absolutely.
That's interesting. And you said that she taught you the songs of the church. So what's your favorite hymn?
It would have to be Great Is Thy Faithfulness. Great Is Thy Faithfulness is one, and for obvious reasons. And Rescue the Perishing. That's another one.
Wow.
The hymns, they don't make songs like that anymore.
Yeah.
Where they just get right to the heart of the matter. So those are the two favorite ones.
Okay. Rescue the Perishing. I don't think I've ever heard that before. I'm going to have to look that one up.
Rescue the perishing, care for the dying.
Okay.
Jesus is merciful, Jesus will save.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one. She just busts out singing. See how she does? You can sing when you do that. Let me backtrack a little bit. And I just want to offer my condolences for the passing of your father, and then your mother earlier in the year. So I know that's kind of been rough on you all.
Yeah, just a little.
But we are continuing on in the Lord.
Amen.
Okay.
Amen.
So I listened to the first Noel, and what made you decide to do that now?
Well, as we were recording this upcoming CD, they said to me, Andrea, we want you to do a Christmas single.
Okay.
So I kind of was throwing around songs to sing, and the first Noel kind of stuck with me. And one of the young men who he's pretty much doing the lion's share of the producing of the CD, his name is Trey Corley out of Nashville, Tennessee. They gave the song to him, and I had no expectation how it would come back. I didn't know. I didn't give him a direction. I didn't say I wanted jazzy, traditional, or anything like that. We did give him parameters that we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. We didn't want it to be so far left that you're saying, what song is this? Mm-hmm. But when he gave it back to me, he gave me this completely jazzed out version, which I thought was flawlessly classic. It was beautiful.
It is.
So I went down and I did what I did, and it just I just think it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it is a gorgeous song. I like the kind of the movement of it. You can
Amen.
from one to the next, and you got a little churchy at the end. I said, well, you better get that. I like it though.
God make sure you are hooked up with people that really kind of get his point across, and I'm really blessed with this CD because he's kind of put people in my path that really kind of translate kind of translate what he's given me in a really sweet way. So that's what that is.
Okay. All right, so I will get to the solo project in a moment, but I watched a video of you singing the national anthem at the Jets game. So I was just wondering, how tall are you?
I'm sorry?
How tall are you?
Oh, I am 6 feet even.
Wow. Well, I'm 5'10", so I'm like, okay, where does she shop?
We'll talk off record.
Where?
I said we'll talk off record. My pants I have to get online.
Oh, okay.
But everything else I can get off the rack. But it's just the pants, the inseam's never long enough. But yeah. I
was like, she's tall. There's another tall person. I'm 5'10", so yeah. I'm right up there with you. Not quite, but I'm right.
Absolutely. I know your pain.
Yeah, basically. All right. So, you have the new solo project that's on the horizon. So you decided to do that now. Can you give us a little background on how that, how you guys kind of start talking about it, and and how that came to fruition?
Well, I was very comfortable in the background. There's no burden of responsibility at all. I could have done that until the very last day on earth. But many, many years ago, when I lived in California, and I've been here for about 13 years. So when my children were very young, when I lived in California, I was laying in my bed, and I was between sleep and awake, and I just saw myself in a dark room, and it was like my vantage point was like up on the balcony looking down, and it was in a dark room, and there was a person standing on stage with a spotlight on them, and I realized the person was me.
Wow.
And then I woke up. And so it's been many years that I saw that vision, if you will. Mm-hmm. And the Lord impressed it upon my heart that would be me. Now, many years between the vision and the manifestation, there were many years in between the vision and manifestation. I had to learn how to, first I had to accept it. Mm-hmm. Then I had to kind of get comfortable in it. Then I had to learn and sit and garner and get, be tutored, by Pastor Donnie or whoever else was in my path that was, a valid person, And then we have the manifestation of it. Some people, they see a vision and they run headlong, willy-nilly, not having a direction whatsoever, and not willing to sit in obscurity, not willing to be on the backside of the mountain and have nobody notice them, nobody call them to do anything, and be okay with it. So I had to learn all of that stuff until I get here. So here I'm still doing it afraid. I'm still, not sure, but the anxiety and the inferiority and the, I'm not good enough, that has been laid to rest. So now I just stand being sure who God called me to be, and what I don't have that I think that that would, measure up to whomever else is out there, I leave that to the Lord, and I just do what He's given me to do.
That's good. That's good to hear. You hear a lot of people talk about how, they, I guess, feel like they're inadequate and whatnot, but for you to have place that aside, do it in God's time.
That's me. That was me. I felt that I wasn't inadequate. I felt that I was invisible. I felt that no one would want to hear me because you got a trillion of me already out there being represented, so why would they want to hear me? And I really had to be poured into and ministered to and put that to rest and just say, if God has given you this time and this opportunity and this door that is opening, just walk through it and give them what God has given you, because you are the best you that you can be, and nobody else, whoever's doing whatever all over the globe, can't do what God has given you to do, and vice versa. So
that's good. That's good stuff. So who are you working with on the project? And, who's doing the production? Are you writing the majority of it? Who's doing all that stuff?
Yes, I did write the majority of the songs. Okay. There are, I'm not working with, any producers that anyone would know, but the young men, the young men I'm working with, they are giants in their own right. Okay. I'm working with Clarence Singleton out of New Jersey, Clay Bogan out of New York, Trey Corley out of Nashville, and he is a monster. So these are, brothers who the Lord has really blessed with some great giftings and great talents. And I'm happy with everything that I've been given, and I believe the people will be blessed and they'll be happy with the music as well.
Okay. So, can you tell us about the concept? How it's coming together so far with their solo project.
Well, there's a lot of praise and worship.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of, and if I say love songs, I don't want you to think it's like slow jam to the Lord, because it's not that.
I've read up on you. I know you do. Is it love song ministries? I'm getting
yes. But it's a lot of declarations of love to the Lord. So it kind of runs the gamut. Of praise, worship, love songs, lifting, and all that. It's just this whole CD is to the Lord.
Okay.
This whole thing, and that's where Love Song Ministries came up. I wrote a song called Love Song, and the lyrics are: roses are red, violets are blue, sugar is sweet, but not as sweet as you. Your love is everlasting, and your love is true. This is my love song to you. Now I didn't record it, but that's where Love Song Ministries came out. It's just all the songs that I write, no matter what they say. These are to the Lord. It's to the glory of God. It's to lift up His name, and it's to bring His name to the forefront. It's not about me or anybody else. It's all about Him. So that's where that came from.
Well, that's good. You might need to put that on the CD somewhere.
Next time, the next one.
Okay. So will there be a duet maybe with Pastor Donnie?
I would love it to be. It didn't happen this time around, and that's okay because of he's got recording obligations and such. But I would love it to be next time around. He's one of my dream duets, and Pastor Winans is one of my dream duets.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So I got big shoes still, and I better come correct.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you, this is an obscure question. Do you remember the first song that you ever wrote?
Yes, absolutely. I have a tendency to write a song, get stuck, leave it, go on to the next song. So I have a lot of Frankenstein monster body part songs. And when the McClurkin Project was about to record, it was said, if anybody has songs that you want to present, bring your songs. So I sat and I went through my little notebook and went through my little tape recorder, and We Praise You was the only song that I had from beginning to end.
Okay.
So We Praise You was my first complete song, and I submitted it thinking that people were going to be like, oh, my God, that's horrible. And, they put it on the CD, and I had no idea it was going to take on the life that it took on.
That's good. That's one of my favorites on there. I didn't realize you wrote it until I, read it.
Yeah.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah, I did.
Because I kind of looked at, the Stellar Award nomination just came out yesterday. So I looked, and, they had all these categories there, and I was looking for a female songwriter in, the songwriting category, but there were none. So I'm like, what's going on? It's like it's wide open at this point.
Yeah, I got to tell you, and God bless the brothers because they, you can't take what they have away from them and all the musicians and singers and songwriters. But there's so many females out there, whether they're singers, songwriters, musicians, saxophone players, whatever, and, they're not in the forefront.
Right.
And I want to be able to bring the female aspect to the forefront. And I've always said, if I ever did anything, I wanted an all-girl band. Because Beyonce has one? No. But, my hat goes off to her because she is letting the people know that there are some monstrous female musicians out there.
True.
And they are not being showcased in gospel music.
True.
Yes, these brothers, they are rocking and rolling, but where are the young ladies who can, go toe-to-toe with these brothers who are just monstrously talented? That's what I want to do.
And I'm glad you said that because it is wide open. And I looked, and it's kind of off topic, but I looked, and there were 28 categories, and of the 25 categories that a female can be nominated in, it's maybe 8 or so.
Yeah.
That females actually got nominated. And I was like, wait a minute. So I'm probably going to write something about that later. But I'm glad you said that. So that's good.
And it's not a competition.
Yeah, I know. But you want to see. We kind of need to see
the gifts of the young ladies.
Right.
showcase their gifts. God
true.
has gifted us all. And, it's not a man's world,
This is true. All right. So what do you want the world to know about your ministry? What would you want?
Wow. How can I, say this in, 2 minutes without, saying call me back and I will tell you exactly. What do I want the world to know about my ministry? I want the world to know that I am nothing outside of Christ. Everything I am, everything I have, everything I could ever hope to be, anything that I am is because of my love for the Lord and my willingness to give my whole life to Him. So, I couldn't really give you anything without putting the Lord in it, because He is my everything. He's the reason I live, breathe, move, have any being at all. So that would be my answer.
Good. All right, so can you tell us a little bit more about Love Song Ministries, and specifically, it mentioned something about praise and worship theory. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works?
I've done a couple of workshops on praise and worship and the practical application. And, I'm not Jackie McCullough. I am not, Pastor Tamara Bennett or Medina Pulling. So I'm not one of these, dynamic women preachers.
Uh-huh.
But I've been a praise and worship leader for the past 8 or 9 years at the Second Big Church. And, I've talked about the lifestyle of a worshiper. Sometimes, and who am I to judge? I'm not, I don't judge at all, but sometimes there are people who stand before the, in the Bible, when the priests went to present the people's sins to the Lord, before they would go into the Holy of Holies, and if they weren't right, they would pull out a dead body. They would pull out a dead body. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we, on Sunday morning, whatever we go through, whatever we have experienced on Friday and Saturday, whatever we have gone through, whatever altercation we may have had, whatever fight we've had, whatever, you come in and you're not quite right. And you stand before the Lord and you proclaim His greatness and I've been with the Lord all day. And knowing full well that if we had been in that dispensation, we would have been pulled out by a string. Mm. So the lifestyle of a worshiper, we have to live holy, sanctified lives, a pure heart and holy hands lifting up to the Lord. We have to give everything to the Lord. And before I stand up, before I go before the people, before I do anything, I want the Lord wash me clean, forgive me of every sin. Just purge me, so that when I stand before the Lord, there's nothing hindering. There's no obstacle between you and me. I can hear perfectly what you're telling me to do. There is no distraction. If you say go left during this worship service, I'm going to go left. If you say right, I'm going to go right. So if I give myself over to the Lord, totally surrendered, giving Him everything, I surrender all, wash me, purge me, sanctify me, purify me, and use me to your service. That is, the practical application of praise and worship. You can't stand before the people. It's not about singing a song or what the popular song is or whatever, because you could sing I Surrender All and have people laying prostrate on the floor. But it's the position of your heart as the leader that will determine the atmosphere in the room. It's what you do in private. And when you stand before the people and before the Lord, it should be like wildfire. It should spread. Your worship to the Lord in front of the people should be very contagious. But that doesn't come just by, and some people are good showmen and showwomen, and they can do it, and people get, they get excited about what you have and your voice and your this and that. Mm-hmm. But if I want my ministry to be effective, then I have to be able to fast and pray and get the heart and mind of the Lord. And so when I stand up and sing, it's not to wow the crowd, it's to get them to encounter the Lord Jesus Christ in a service. So that's where Love Song Ministries came about. When I did my praise and worship seminars when I write songs, when I sing before the Lord, somebody said, wow, you need to incorporate all that you do into one umbrella. And that's where Love Song Ministries came about.
Okay. I like you, Andrea.
Why, thank you.
I like you. I like you. That's very important. That's important to me, too. I lead worship at church, and that oftentimes, you don't want to find yourself in a position where you can't, get in the presence of God yourself, and you're just relying on your gift alone.
Amen.
You know what I mean? So,
I went to a worship conference, and as a matter of fact, it was one of it was Perfecting something my brother gave, and the name escapes me, and shame on me. Perfecting Music Conference, okay? It was about 2 or 3 years ago.
In Charlotte.
And, yeah. They gave them all over the place. I think we were in Miami this time, and Israel Houghton was there.
Okay.
And he told a story about how he first started leading worship. And he said he started with salt and pepper shakers on his piano. And he would sing praise and worship to the salt and pepper shakers. And that's how the Lord had him, that's how he started. So as time progressed and he was praise and worship leader at a certain church or whatever, somebody gave him tickets to some courtside basketball game, and he was all geeked and in his car and ready to go or whatever. And then his pastor or someone from the church calls and says, hey, we need you to sing worship. And he was like, oh, okay. Hung up the phone with them, called the person that just gave him these tickets and said, oh, I can't go to this game. I have to lead. No, he said, yeah, I have to lead worship. And he said when he hung up the phone, the Lord convicted him. He said, do you have to? He said, you don't have to lead worship. He said, why didn't you make it seem like you have to lead worship? You get to lead worship.
Wow.
This is an opportunity for you to stand before the people and let them see the awesomeness of God. So it's not like you have to. So I'm very careful now when I say, oh, I have to lead worship. No, I get to. It is a privilege to stand before the people and to get them to see the greatness of God. You may be going through something really catastrophic, but see the greatness of God. Stand still and see His salvation. He's going to bring you through. It is a privilege to be able to stand in that office and bring them and usher them into the presence of God.
Wow, that's good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, I have one last question. Can you tell us a little bit about your family? You're married, you have 3 kids. Tell us a little bit about your family.
Yes, I have.
Make all that work.
January 25th, I will be married 25 years.
Wow.
To Louis Mellini. I have 3 children. My daughter is 22. My oldest son is 20, and my youngest son is 18.
Wow, they're all grown.
Yeah. And juggling mommy and this and that, and now gospel artist, and elder at the church, and it's a whole big, never-ending, moving machine.
I don't think the kids go away. Look, I'm one.
No, I can't say what I want to because people would gasp collectively, but no, they don't. And in your mind, when you have children and you bounce them on your knee and you say, when you're 18, you're going to move out, never come back, and you're going to be a productive citizen, and when that doesn't come, then I had to say, you know what, God, if this doesn't happen, teach them how to be productive men and women who love the Lord. And I have been told, because when things don't go well and they don't kind of go down the path that you have forged for them, or they don't go in the direction that you thought they would, and they're not doing or saying or jumping how high you dictate that they should, you still got to speak into their lives and let them know who they are.
Yes.
And there was one particular situation that happened, and, I was talking to CC1, and she said, you speak over that young person, and you tell them who they are, and you tell them they're going to be great, and so every now and then I have to do it. Do they roll their eyes and flex their teeth and say, oh, my God? Yes, they do. But that can't discourage me. So, they are the light of my life, even though sometimes they're like a shard of glass that I'm swallowing. But that goes with motherhood. And I just have to know that they, it's like, you put them in it's like the marksman. When you put the arrow in the, whatever it is, when they shoot the arrow, and you just let it loose, and they have to go wherever you shoot them. And I have to know that my life has to be an example. I can tell them about Christ. I can take them to church. I can, make them read Scripture. But the best example and the best witness is the life I live in front of them. So.
All right. You pointed them in the right direction. So
Amen.
You shot them. They'll make it there. They'll be there.
Yes, they will. They won't depart from what they've learned and what they've heard.
They'll be there. Okay, so where can we find you on the social networks?
Well, I am on Instagram, and it is Andrea1962. I am on Twitter, and my Twitter name is LouseLove89. My husband's name is Lou, so it's LOUSLOVE89. That's the year I was married, so it's LouseLove89.
Oh.
And I'm on Facebook, and it is, Love Song Ministries, Andrea McClurkin Mellini.
All right. Is there anything final that you'd like to leave us with?
Yes. In light of the recent passing of my father and the passing of my mother, and just Saturday, my grandmother had a stroke.
Oh, no.
So in light of everything that's going on, I'm encouraged because I was telling my brother, because we all do like conference calls sometimes when we go through these things and we try to encourage each other. And I was telling them, or we did a mass text or something, and I was telling them, we are sitting here wringing our hands like, what do we do? What do we do? I said, God is not with us. He's not sitting with us wringing his hands too. He's expecting us to trust him and walk this out. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. He knows our end from our beginning. So if he knew this, if he saw this, if we are at our appointed time for this tragedy and all this death and sickness to happen, then he expects us to take a deep breath, have your human emotion, cry, whoa, whatever, take a day, have your human emotion, and when your human emotion is over, you got to trust him. You got to know that he has your best interest at heart. You got to know that on the other side of all of this, there is victory. There is, overcoming. There is blessing. There is, a testimony. So if I leave anything for any of you listeners, is be encouraged. God has your whole life mapped out. And if you're going through a really dark period, a really trying, challenging period, just continue to hold on and trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. So just be encouraged. God has you in the palm of his hand, and nothing is outside of his control.
That's true. That's true. Well, Andrea, I want to thank you so much for talking to me today. It's been my pleasure doing this interview.
So much.
And I will definitely let Irma know when I put it up. And I wish you much, much success, and hopefully I'll get to meet you soon.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. I want to meet you as well.
Yeah, I like you. I do. I know I said that. But
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Okay, well, you have a wonderful day, and thank you again.
Thank you. You too.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.